If you've ever scared your cat by accident and then watched them run away and hide, this video is for you. Maybe it was a loud noise, a slammed door, or something that fell in the kitchen. But in that moment, your cat was frightened and you probably felt awful. The problem is that when we try to fix it fast, we often make it worse. So in the next few minutes, I'll show you what to do after you scare your cat, how to calm a scared cat, and how to rebuild trust so your cat can feel safe again. Let's start with the basics. Point number 1, feline biology. To understand why our natural reactions often miss the mark, we first have to understand the fundamental difference in how our two species process an emotional rupture. Humans are linguistic and timeline-driven creatures. When we cause offense or fear, we use words to bridge the gap. We believe that an apology resets the timeline, moving the event firmly into the past. We crave the immediate relief of forgiveness. We want to hear that it is okay, so our own internal discomfort can end. But a cat does not process the world through language or timelines. A cat processes the world through a highly complex, constantly updating map of safety and environmental variables. When an incident occurs, a loud noise, an accidental step on a tail, a sudden chaotic movement, your cat experiences a sudden spike in adrenaline. Their natural fight or flight response takes over. In that specific moment, your role as their comforting provider is temporarily paused. You become an unpredictable variable in an environment that has suddenly lost its security. They do not hate you. They are not plotting revenge. They are simply responding to a strong instinct to survive and protect themselves. Point number 2, the chase error. And this is where we begin to make our most common missteps. The first human error after a conflict is the emotional chase. Driven by our own guilt, we pursue the cat. We follow them as they retreat beneath the sofa or behind the washing machine. We kneel down and insert ourselves into the very space they have chosen for sanctuary. Think about this from the perspective of a creature whose instincts are telling them to hide. They have retreated to a dark, enclosed space to lower their heart rate and assess the environment for lingering danger. And then the very source of the chaos, you, looms over them, blocking their exit. To a cat, pursuit feels predatory. When you follow a frightened cat, your logic says you are offering comfort. Their survival-wired brain says they are being cornered by a larger figure who has just demonstrated unpredictable energy. Every inch you move toward their hiding spot is an inch that pushes them further into a state of defense. Point number 3, vocal stress. The second mistake amplifies the first, and it involves our voices. When we are desperate to soothe, we instinctively raise the pitch of our voices and speak quickly. We string together breathless apologies, our tone wavering with our own emotional distress. But consider the feline ear. A cat's hearing is incredibly sensitive. In the natural world, erratic, unstable sounds are very often the sounds of distress or alarm. When you bombard a stressed cat with rapid, wavering vocalizations, you are not whispering sweet nothings. You are flooding their sensitive auditory processors with an overwhelming signal of alarm. You are confirming their suspicion that the environment is unstable. You are adding acoustic pressure to an already stressful situation. Point number 4, forced touching. This acoustic pressure is almost always followed by the third critical mistake, which is the forced physical touch. If you manage to get close enough, your hand inevitably reaches out. You want to stroke their head, to smooth down the fur that might still be standing on end. But in the immediate aftermath of a shock, your hand is not perceived as a tool of affection. The cat's sensory threshold is highly sensitive. A hand approaching, especially from above, can be seen as a gesture of control or restraint. It crosses an important boundary of their chosen safe zone. When you reach into a hiding space to pet a frightened cat, you are undermining their feeling of a safe retreat. You are showing them that they have little geographic control over their own safety at that moment. Point number 5, the threatening stare. And even if you do not reach out, you might be committing the fourth deeply ingrained human mistake. You are staring at them. When we feel remorse, we try to convey it through our eyes. We look intently at the subject of our guilt, our eyes wide with concern, holding their gaze to show our sincerity. But look at this through the lens of feline behavioral ecology. Cats are predators, but they are also prey. In their world, a direct, unblinking stare can feel like a sign of pursuit or intense focus that makes them nervous. When you stare with wide, guilty eyes at a cat huddled under a chair, you are accidentally sending a threatening signal. You are essentially communicating that your entire focus is locked onto their position and you are not looking away. It's so easy to fall into these traps because we see them as family, not as another species. Have you ever accidentally scared your cat and felt that heartbreaking shift in their eyes? Or tried to apologize, only to watch them shrink further away? Share your story in the comments. It helps us all realize we're not alone in navigating this relationship. Point number 6, behavioral shift. So, if our human nature tells us to do things that are counterproductive, how do we actually help them recover? How do we prove to our cats that the environment is secure and that we are a source of peace rather than panic? The answer lies in a completely different approach. We must stop trying to fix the timeline with our words and start fixing the environment with our behavior. We have to strip away the social pressure and replace it with a sense of spatial and emotional safety. Point number 7, body language reset. The protocol for rebuilding trust begins the very second the rupture occurs, and the first step is the hardest to do naturally. You must immediately de-escalate your own presence. The moment the loud noise happens, or the moment you realize you have frightened them, stop moving. Pause your body. Then, deliberately and consciously break your eye contact. Do not look at where they are hiding. Turn your head away, drop your shoulders, and let out a long, slow exhale. This is not just about relaxing your own body. It is about changing your body language. By looking away and softening your posture, you are instantly communicating that you are not in a state of pursuit. You are showing them you are not focusing on them. Point number 8, tactical retreat. Once you have broken that intense visual lock, you must move to the second step, which is giving them space. You need to give them the gift of distance. This means slowly and calmly removing yourself from their immediate vicinity. Do not linger near the bed they are hiding under. Do not sit on the floor right next to the sofa, waiting for them to emerge. You must walk away. By leaving the area, you are handing a sense of control back to the cat. You are proving that you respect their boundaries and that you are not a hovering presence they need to constantly monitor. You are allowing their nervous system the necessary time and space to process the surge of adrenaline without the added complication of your physical presence. Point number 9, scent reassurance. However, leaving the room does not mean completely abandoning the relationship. The third step is about providing passive reassurance without demanding any interaction, and we do this through scent. A cat's reality is largely constructed through their olfactory senses. While they're hiding, their nose is working overtime to gather information about the state of the house. You can gently place an item that carries your scent, like a worn t-shirt or a small blanket you have recently used, near, but definitely not inside their safe zone. Place it gently on the floor a few feet away and then walk away again. You are leaving an ambassador of your presence. You are offering the comforting, familiar scent of their core territory, allowing them to engage with a piece of you on their own terms, free from the pressure of your actual body and your movements. Point number 10, routine reset. As they process this passive reassurance, you move into the fourth step, which is establishing the routine reset. The loudest sound in a tense house is silence. If you are tiptoeing around, holding your breath, and acting completely unnatural, your cat will notice. They might interpret the heavy, anxious silence as the calm before another storm. Instead, you need to return the environment to its predictable, ambient state. Go to the kitchen and slowly wash a dish. Open a familiar drawer. Turn on a soft television program or a radio playing at a very low volume. Engage in the quiet, mundane soundtrack of daily life. These incredibly normal, rhythmic sounds act as acoustic anchors. They tell the cat that the crisis has passed, that the world is returning to its baseline, and that you have returned to a state of calm predictability. You are broadcasting safety through your normal daily actions. Point number 11, feline timeline. And finally, the fifth and most crucial step in this behavioral repair sequence is relinquishing the timeline. You must accept that your cat's nervous system operates on its own natural pace. It might take 20 minutes for their heart rate to normalize, or it might take 3 hours. It might take an entire evening. You cannot force a frightened animal to relax on command. You must maintain this open-door policy of ambient safety until they make the decision to close the gap. This is a great exercise in emotional trust. You are trusting them to know when they are truly ready, and they are learning to trust that you will not force them before they are. You must let them regain control of the narrative. Point number 12, silent reconnection. When you implement this sequence, when you replace the desperate human apology with the calm, spatial language of feline respect, a meaningful shift occurs. By removing the pressure, you create the conditions necessary for true reconciliation. You prove that you understand their world. You show them that their boundaries are respected, that their fear is acknowledged, and that your presence is a harbor, not a hazard. And here's the most beautiful part of this entire process. When you finally step back, when you stop forcing the issue and truly let your cat breathe, they will eventually process the event. Their heart rate will slow. Their pupils will return to normal. The instinct to hide will be steadily replaced by the instinct to reconnect. The real goal is not to force a moment of affection. It is to create an environment where safety becomes believable again. Once that happens, the bond has room to recover naturally, without pressure, without performance, and without you trying to control the timing of the repair. You have learned how to stop making the wound deeper. You have learned how to reduce threat, give back control, and rebuild trust through behavior instead of words. And that is the foundation that matters most. Because before any bond can feel warm again, it first has to feel safe. Now that you know how to stop making the wound deeper and respect your cat's pace, you need to be ready for what happens next. When the tension melts away, your cat will start sending you silent thank you notes, subtle behaviors that prove you are still the center of their world. But are you actually noticing them? Click the video on your screen right now to discover the 12 hidden signs that your cat loves you far more than you realize. Don't miss the secret language of their heart.